Hello everyone, my name is James, an essay marker and content developer at GradReady. Thanks for joining the GAMSAT to Med School podcast, where we cover topics related to the Graduate Medical School Admissions Test, or GAMSAT, as well as tips and insights for your journey to medical school. The topic we will be covering today is one that many students find themselves facing: is my GAMSAT score good enough? What if I don't get the GAMSAT score I wanted? This is a common concern. We'll be sure to tune in to learn the answers to these questions, how medical schools will interpret your GAMSAT score, and what to do next. Whether you're aiming for a specific medical school or looking for general advice on improving your chances, this episode will provide valuable insights and better understanding to help you move forward on your journey to medical school. GAMSAT scores are typically released twice a year, usually around May for the March exam and November for the September exam. The anticipation and anxiety built up over weeks of waiting can be intense. Many students feel a combination of nervousness, excitement, and relief when they finally receive the notification that the scores have been released. But it's difficult to know for sure whether the score is actually good enough to receive an offer from a medical school. Universities in Australia generally do not release official GAMSAT cutoffs. Instead, they provide minimum requirements and other general criteria for entry. The cutoff scores can vary each year based on the applicant pool, making it difficult to predict exact cutoffs. Let's dive in and explore your options, strategies, and how to stay motivated even if your GAMSAT results aren't what you hoped for. First, let's delve into how medical schools assess your GAMSAT score and what it really means for your application. There are three main types of entrance styles that medical schools use to qualify candidates for an interview: GAMSAT only, GAMSAT and GPA, and then portfolio including GAMSAT and GPA. So first, let's talk about the GAMSAT only medical schools. These schools rank applicants solely based on their GAMSAT scores for interview selection. However, remember that for the final offer, GPA, scores might still play a role. Each school has its own set of hurdles, like the University of Sydney, which requires a 5 on a 7-point GPA scale. So you can find these details on their websites or through the GEMS's guide. Now, let's address the concept of cutoff scores. These are the minimum GAMSAT scores needed to gain entry into medical school. Generally, schools will consider your overall GAMSAT score as calculated by ACER as part of their admissions criteria. However, some universities also look at individual section scores. While most institutions use the overall score, some apply different weightings and calculate an average of the three sections. The University of Sydney is unique in that it doesn't use the overall score. Instead, it ranks students based on each individual section of the GAMSAT. But here's the tricky part: these cutoffs vary year by year and depend on many factors, including how well applicants perform and geographical nuances. For instance, if everyone from Melbourne performs exceptionally well on the GAMSAT and they all apply to the University of Melbourne, the cutoff for that year could skyrocket. Similarly, non-GEMSA schools like the University of Sydney and Flinders attract a wide pool of applicants, affecting yearly cutoffs unpredictably. So while past cutoffs can guide you, they're not definitive predictors. Next, let's move to schools that use both GAMSAT and GPA scores. This is the most common method that medical schools use to rank candidates, and these schools typically weigh both scores equally to rank candidates. However, the exact formula varies, and sometimes universities might use percentile rankings instead of raw scores. Generally, a higher GPA can have a more significant impact on your combination score. Now, what about portfolio medical schools? Although this method of ranking applicants is becoming less common, these schools provide a unique opportunity for applicants to showcase their life experiences and personal attributes. While the University of Notre Dame, as well as the University of Wollongong, previously used portfolios, they've switched to ranking candidates mainly by using the Casper Situational Judgment Test and wide array of bonuses since 2024. Nevertheless, building a strong portfolio or acing the SJT can compensate for lower GAMSAT or GPA scores and is crucial for some institutions. Medical schools also offer bonuses and sub-quotas for special applicants, such as those from rural backgrounds, Indigenous communities, those with previous healthcare or work experience, or graduates who are looking to study medicine at the same university. These bonuses can slightly lower the cut-off scores needed for these applicants. So is your GAMSAT score good enough? For most medical schools, you'll need a minimum score of 50 in each of the 3 sections of the GAMSAT. However, this is just the absolute minimum score that you need in order to qualify. The actual cut-off scores will be quite a bit higher than that. Naturally, medical schools in Australia can't accept every applicant, so aiming to be better than average is a smart strategy. This means you should target being above the 50th percentile. For September 2024 GAMSAT exam, for example, this is roughly a score of 59, or even better, aim for the top 25% of applicants. A score of around 64 will place you in the 75th percentile for the September 2024 GAMSAT. A score of 75 would put you around the 98th percentile, making you extremely competitive. You might often hear that a good GAMSAT score is over 65, but it's important to remember that this depends on the specific university and course you're targeting. The cutoffs fluctuate each year, so there isn't a universal GAMSAT score that guarantees admission to any medical school. The notion that 65 is a magical number can be misleading, as it varies based on the course and university. As mentioned previously, universities don't release official cutoff scores, and it can vary from year to year. However, there are forums such as the iGAMSAT subreddit that conduct a survey every year to collect the GAMSAT scores of people who have received an offer from various universities. These surveys can give you a general idea of the scores needed to receive an offer from medical schools in a given year. All in all, it's essential to understand that it's just one part of your application. For those who feel their score or GPA isn't competitive enough, consider revisiting the GAMSAT, pursuing further studies, or gaining relevant healthcare experience. Persistence and strategic planning are key. Also, take a moment to celebrate your effort. The GAMSAT is a tough exam, and completing it is an achievement in itself. Many students sit the GAMSAT multiple times before achieving a high enough score. Use your previous experience to focus your study efforts more effectively for the next attempt. And if the GAMSAT isn't your path, consider other rewarding careers in healthcare, such as nursing, pharmacy, or allied health fields. To wrap up, don't be discouraged if your GAMSAT score isn't what you hoped for. The journey to medical school can be long, but with determination and the right strategy, you can achieve your goal. Thank you for tuning in to the GAMSAT to Med School podcast. I wish you the best of luck on your journey to becoming a doctor. Until next time. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out on our website or social media channels. See you in the next episode.